Hello, Empower Nation. Welcome to Empower Her Money podcast. I am your host, Angela Duncan, speaker, best-selling author, serial entrepreneur, and we talk all things business and money. Today's episode is sponsored by freemoneytipsbook.com. freemoneytipsbook.com. Head over there and get your free copy of an ebook that's going to help you with 7 unshakable tips to get you started on your financial journey. Today's episode, I am interviewing Nicole Buck of Buck's Dog Training. I'm telling you, this episode is so inspirational. I can't wait for you to hear her interview, and she's going to help teach you how to anticipate the unknown costs of running a new company. Hi, Nicole. Welcome to Empower Her Money podcast. How are you?
I'm doing great, Angela. Thank you so much for allowing me to participate in this podcast. Appreciate the honor.
Yeah. We met on, a group chat, and we're kind of heading down some similar directions. So I thought this would be just a great opportunity for you to share what's going on in your life. So let's go ahead and start with your story. Tell me a little background of how you got to what you're doing today.
Well, it's a very interesting story, actually, even if I do say so myself. I am an adopted child. I was adopted from South Korea when I was about 6 years old, along with my biological brother. We came over, knew no English, very poor, abusive family. My father was an alcoholic and tried to kill us, actually. So that's finally what, I guess, incented him to give us up for adoption. My mother had passed away when I was 3, but we came to America, got adopted by a fantastic family. And, we were giving a lot of opportunity, which was great. So it's why I'm where I am today. It's, kind of formed who I am, which, right now I am an entrepreneur. I'm a business owner. I've got a couple different businesses. I'm working on a book. There's a lot that's, going on and happening right now. And a lot of that is a product of, how I was raised and, coming from a very strong work ethic.
That's great. So you just mentioned the book, which I wasn't aware about. So talk about where did you find the inspiration, and kind of how did you get to now I'm going to be writing a book?
Well, I've had a lot of people tell me that my life's pretty interesting. I've done a lot of things. And so people are like, you should write a book about that because it can inspire some people. I don't necessarily think of myself as all that inspiring. I just, put my head down and do my job and, do what I need to do. But I do aspire to be a good leader, especially for my team. And part of why I participated in the seminars and things that I've been attending is to make myself a better leader and to help more and more people. So that's ultimately my goal, is to help as many people as I can. And if my book can inspire people to overcome tragedies, to better themselves, to, say that, what, I can do it too, then all the better.
That's great. So your main business is dog training.
Yes.
What made you decide to kind of get into that line of business? Because it's a lot different than, other lines of businesses.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I actually spent about 20 years in corporate America, working for major corporations like AT&T, Granger. And I got tired of being in the corporate world, quite frankly. And I've always had an affinity for dogs, which actually I shouldn't say that, because when I was really, really young, when I first came over, I was deathly afraid of dogs. But I overcame that fear, obviously. And since then, I have an affinity for them. I got my first dog about 25, almost 30 years ago now, actually. I adopted her from a shelter. She put me through the ringer. She was really aggressive, very anxious. And so I had to very quickly learn how to deal with this anxious, aggressive mess that I got handed. And I said, okay, because I'm not one to give up. I wasn't going to send her back, because I knew if I did, she would not have been put into a good home. So I said, all right, I'm going to figure this out. What do I have to do? And so I did. I studied, I shadowed as many people as I could. I read books. I figured out how to get through to this dog and how to overcome her anxiety and her aggression. And at the end, she was one of the best dogs I ever had.
And I love the
Yes.
correlation of your story because, you were saved and adopted by someone who
Mhm.
helped show you a different way. And now
Yes.
here you are adopting a dog that someone else may not have wanted, but you help show the dog a different way. And you like no way that your parents now could have given you back from adopting you. So you're not going to give the dog back either. So I love the correlation with that in your story. That's so powerful. So you learned a lot about dog training. So then you thought, maybe I could teach other people?
Mhm. Well, it wasn't even so much that I wanted to teach other people, it just people came to me and asked me for help. I
Mhm.
said, "Okay, I mean, I can tell you what I did and show you what I did, absolutely." And I do have a passion for helping people, so anyone who ever asked, I'd be like, "Yeah, sure, here's what you need to do." And I would show them and I would, work with them. But I did it as kind of like a sideline. I wasn't even charging money for it. I was just doing it for free because, I just wanted to help people. I didn't think I was good enough to actually charge money for that. And so, yeah, I helped probably hundreds of people that way while I was still doing my corporate job. And finally, when I said, okay, I'm done with my corporate job, I need to do something, I need to be able to kind of work for myself, figure out my path in life, and figure out what truly do I want to be. And that's when I kind of fell into dog training. And I said, well, I've been doing it and I've been doing it for free. So why not turn it into something that I can actually make a living out of?
Yeah,
And
and I
yeah.
and I think when people say, "I wanna start my business, I wanna go into business for myself," that's a great tip. Think about something that people are already asking you advice about. It
Hmm.
might seem a little simple to you, but they're obviously coming to you because they need help. So if
Hmm.
you're thinking about launching a business, think about that in your life, and that could be an amazing avenue for you to launch a business with something that people are already coming to you for, right?
Absolutely. I mean, why reinvent the wheel? If you know something and people are asking you for that assistance, that to me is a no brainer.
Yeah. So do you bring, animals into your home? Do you also find it necessary to train the owners as well?
100%. As one of my trainers likes to say, she's got so many sayings. It's so funny. Christine, she tells me that you can't clap with one hand. So you need somebody else to kind of, help you clap. So we can only do one part of it, which is train a dog, but we need the owners to, provide that other hand, and we need to train them so that they can withhold, upkeep what we're doing. So they have to do their part, we do our part, and then at the end of the day, you have a well-behaved dog, and life is good.
Yeah, so that's what I missed because I have 2 rescue dogs. One of them I got when he was 8 weeks old. So I learned how to, he learned to be trained and I learned what to do with him. But my other
Mhm,
dog, Maverick, I love him to death, but I feel like he just missed the brain aspect of when he was born, but I got him at 2 and
mhm,
I sent him away to get potty trained because he was not when I got him. And then he came home, was potty trained for a minute, but I think I don't know his signals. And
mhm.
so he still has trouble today, but I've had him for 7 years. And that's probably where I failed is I was not trained properly to figure out when he needed to go to the bathroom. Instead, I tried to tell him the other way around, and that doesn't work.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, a lot of times people don't, if they're not given the proper information. They dogs will usually let you know. They'll circle around, they'll start to sniff. Sometimes, they'll be smart enough to go to the door. We usually teach dogs how to ring a bell or push a button to let you know that they got to go potty because they have buttons now that are
Mm.
pre-recorded and says go
Mhm.
potty. And so,
Oh,
yeah, so we teach dogs how to do that. So
that's
then now they can
amazing.
alert you. Yeah.
Yeah,
Pretty
Maverick, he
cool.
just kinda disappears, and that's when I know.
There you go. Yeah, then you're getting a little surprise.
Yeah, he won't do it in front of me. He's like, "Okay, I'm just gonna go in the other room, and I'll be right back."
Yeah, absolutely.
So you're expanding your business from doing dog training in-house in location. What are you doing to expand your business?
So I have started an online academy. We're calling it Bucky Academy, play on words. And so what we're doing is we're taking all of that knowledge that I've gathered for the last 25 plus years and I'm putting it in video form. And I've recorded, I would say, probably close to 100 videos already.
Wow.
and we're putting it up on Kajabi. We're going to have a landing page for people to drive, um, to drive people to, so that they can then click on the link to get to our courses. The other thing that I'm doing is actually utilizing that for in-house training. So all of my trainers are going to have to go through that training,
Hmm.
as well as any new potential trainers. So I have an actual 2 training courses set up right now where we call it the shadow program. So people who want to not just have the book, what I call book knowledge, like reading and watching videos, but actual hands-on, because in dog training, that's critical. You have to have that hands-on training, because having the book knowledge is great, but you can try and watch a video all you want, but if you can't get hands on a dog and you try for the first time, it's going to be a mess.
Yeah.
Every single time I've seen it, every owner that I've tried to, transition and say, okay, here's what you need to do, I'll show them. And then I still have to help them through that process, because it's awkward when you don't have the experience. It's just like, for me, it's muscle memory. I've done it so often. I've done it thousands of times. So, for me, I just get a leash and boom, I just do it. But now I'm trying to teach people, okay, here's how you hold the leash. Here's how much pressure you put. Here's where you put the pressure. Here's how you put the pressure. So it's very prescriptive in that respect. Uh, but it's hard for people when they actually get hands on to do it, because they don't have that experience. So we're trying
Yeah.
to give them that.
Good. That's two great information there too. As a business owner, the video aspect, how do you kind of clone yourself to grow your business? There's only
Exactly.
so many hours in a day. So you're going to record that to teach new trainers that are coming aboard with your company. One, you can do it locally. Now you can go, internationally with that. And
Hmm.
two, it's consistency. So when people know that they're hiring your company and you
Yes.
say, we're going to train them to do X,
Hmm.
now your employees have been trained on X, and it's
Hmm.
going to keep it consistent so that they can do their job and you can control, continue to expand. So I
Yes.
love that idea. And Kajabi, I've heard that website before too. I've heard other people use that, especially like
Mhm.
coaches.
Yes.
So it's a great platform to be able to utilize as a business owner, right? So you can
Hmm.
expand.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the goal.
Yeah. So you also have a podcast. Talk a little bit about what you do on your podcast.
Absolutely. So we just started it this year. It's called Buck You Dogs Matter. Again, play on words. Sometimes it's so great to have a name like Buck, so you can do a lot with it. And so what we're doing is, on that platform, we're talking about dogs, obviously, because that's what we do. But we try and give out good information, as far as, free content, free information to help people. I deal with a lot of anxiety and aggression cases. So we have a lot of examples where we will talk to people about, okay, here's, when you have an aggression case or an anxiety case, or you just have a naughty dog who's just misbehaving, here's some things that you can do to help with that situation. But we also, it's a forum for us to kind of give people information about, the dog industry, the dog world, dog training, and everything that goes with it, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Because let me tell you, it's not all peaches and cream and roses and playing with puppies. Sometimes, you have to deal with the muck and the throw up and the, diarrhea and all sorts of bodily fluids that you don't want to have to deal with, but it's part of the job. And so
Good.
we try and paint a realistic picture for people who are interested in getting into this type of industry, because
Mm.
it's extremely hard work. People don't realize how hard this job is. Um, but it's also extremely rewarding. If
Mhm.
you do a job well and you get that communication between the dog and the owner, where they understand each other now and they have this beautiful relationship. I mean, there's just nothing quite like it when you take even just a regularly misbehaving dog and then you transform it into this well-behaved dog who wants to please, who wants to do what the owner is asking. And even better if you can save a dog's life, which
Mhm.
thankfully I've had an opportunity to do that many, many times. A lot of the dogs that come into me are coming in because they're literally on death row. I have
Mm.
saved hundreds of dogs from being euthanized through our
Aw,
training. And
I
that
love
is
that.
probably one of the most rewarding things.
I love that so much. Yeah, so book, podcasts, in-person training, online training.
this is a podcast too about money. So you've been through several different avenues of business. If you could provide maybe a tip or two of something related to the financial aspect of your business that you learned, then maybe that can help a business owner that might be heading down this road as well.
Okay. So with this business, there are a lot of costs that most people don't realize in having and owning a business. You have to have insurance, especially when you're dealing with dogs. There's a huge liability insurance that you're going to have to make sure that you know, consider and figure into any costs that you have for running a business like this. Typically, most uh, companies, um, especially if you have like a brick and mortar, which we do, they're gonna expect you to have at least $1 million coverage, liability coverage at a minimum, and some will require 2 million. So you need to consider that in your costs. There's going to be overhead, obviously, if you have a rental facility or even if you own something. There's also costs for the equipment, like leashes. I cannot tell you how much I spend on leashes because dogs chew them, or it gets lost, or you know, sometimes dogs poop on them and you don't want to reuse them. I mean, little things like this. It's silly, but those
It
things add
happens.
up.
Yeah.
Poopy bags, treats. There's a lot of costs that people don't consider that is going to play into this business. And then on the technical side, you want some type of technology to be able to manage your business, right? So you need something that's you can use to schedule. Some type of mobile app typically is what we do, because you're going to be moving around a lot. You're not going to be sitting at a desk all day. You're going to be up moving. So you want something that's mobile. So that's going to be very helpful. And then you do want to consider, other technology that's going to help make your life easier, like calendar apps and things like that to manage. If you have more than yourself, if it's just yourself, it's not a big deal, but you still want a calendar so you don't double book yourself. But if you have multiple people like I do, because right now I think I'm up to 20 people, it's going to be hard to navigate that with a single calendar. But then the upside is it can be a very lucrative business. And don't undercut yourself. If you have value that you have expertise, don't undervalue yourself. That was my biggest mistake when I first started. Honestly, I was charging way less than I should, because I was undervaluing what I could offer. And as I've gotten more and more experience, of course, now I'm charging more. But that's the biggest mistake I think people make is they think they're charging too much. But what in reality, what you're offering it's life-changing for people. And if you have the skill set and you're willing to back it up, then you need to not undervalue yourself. Because people have told me countless times, how much they appreciate the change that I was able to bring to them just by a simple job of, dog training. It's amazing.
Yeah. So great financial advice there. Make sure you have reserves for the unknown expenses, because new business, you don't really know what you're going to need for expenses. Having the right platform and systems in place, because that's the best use of your time and the client's time. That's awesome. So a lot of great information there. So what's next for you? What do you see yourself doing after this platform is built out online? Where do you see your business going?
Well, after this, I'm going to just scale and grow, do webinars, seminars, go out and just start franchise locations pretty much all across the world.
Very
So
nice.
my ultimate goal, well, my vision is actually to save 100 million dogs' lives. That's my vision. And in order for me to do that, I really need to get everywhere in the world. I want Buck's dog training to be a household name. So when people think of dog training, they're going to think of Buck's.
Yay. I love that. I love the heart aspect of it too. I think as, women as business owners,
Yes.
our whys are usually heart centered. There's a reason behind it. And I love, I have 2 dogs. They're my babies. They are with me all day. I work from home, so I couldn't imagine my life without them. And knowing that I help rescue them, is just kind of like my small contribution, but they've impacted my life more than I could ever tell them. Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, my
So
goal is to eventually build a foundation. I do also breed and train service animals, service dogs. So one of the other things that I would like to do is really build a foundation for people who need service animals who can't afford it.
Hmm.
Well-trained service animals that, if you can't afford it, let's work with you, because it's so incredible how much a service animal can impact someone's life. I've seen it
Yeah.
happen dozens and dozens of times. And if I can be a part of something where I know people are able to integrate back into society, like our veterans, I've helped so many veterans with service animals, people who were so shut down that they couldn't even leave their house. They couldn't
Hmm.
even go to a movie.
Hmm.
And then, we work with them, we get them a service animal, and now they're actually contributing to society again. They're able to get out there and integrate with society and interact again without, fearing, a major episode or being so shut down that they can't even get out into the world. We're
Yeah.
social creatures. We
Yeah.
need that interaction.
Yeah. And that PTSD, that depression, that
Mhm.
anxiety,
Yeah.
dogs experience it, we
Mhm.
experience it. And if we could figure out a way to just help us manage and get through that, then, that just makes the world a better place too.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mm,
So
yeah. So
a lot of
shift
things
gears
going
a
on.
little bit. I have a fun question for you as we
Mhm.
start to wrap up the episode here. Gosh, I mean, it's like if you could have a superpower, what would it be? Save every dog in the world. What would it be? What would it mean to you?
For me, I mean, as much as I love helping dogs, and I do, that's definitely my vision. My goal is ultimately to help the people who have the dogs. So, and my avenue is to work through the dogs, because ultimately, I have an affinity for dogs, but at the end of the day, I know I'm helping people. And so for me, my superpower, if I could, would be to be able to help any person who needed it.
Hmm. Good. Such a great story, inspirational story. I love what you're doing, and I definitely support you in, any way that I can help as well. Just love what you're doing. So if our audience wants to get in touch with you, online platform, in-person training, book, podcast, how do they reach you?
Absolutely. We are all over social media. So we've got our website, which is bucksdogtraining.com. We have Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, all bucksdogtraining.com or Bucks Dog Training. And then the online academy is Bucky Academy. So you can go to our website, buckyacademy.com. You can also check us out on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, I believe. So we have a Bucky Academy on all of those platforms as well. So feel free to reach out. You can also reach out to me directly. We have a toll-free number, which is 888-995-5355. And you will get to speak to a live person every time.
Awesome. Thanks, Nicole. I really appreciate you being on my podcast today.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be a guest on your podcast.
Yes. And that concludes another episode of Empower Her Money. I am Angela Duncan. That was truly an inspiring story today. So make sure you reach out to Nicole if you want to help out or just learn more about the incredible programs that she has. Definitely reach out to her. Thanks again, Nicole.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Empower Her Money podcast. Make sure you leave me a 5-star review, share this podcast, subscribe, and share the message.